Hi, it's me, and it's been a very long time since I made a video like this. As of February this year, I've made it to 10 years on this platform, so I thought that I'd take the opportunity to just make a video to just talk. This time, I need to talk. I can't ask for much at this point. I know how much goodwill that I burned, but if you'll grant me one request, it's to wait to the end of the video before commenting. Saying that it's been a rough few years is more than an understatement. It's been hell. That is also an understatement. However, for the past few weeks or so, I felt strangely lucid. Maybe it's the effect of it being a new year, or maybe it's me finally coming out of some kind of haze. Cutting straight to the chase, the pandemic and the events that happened over the course of it broke me. I want to state up front that this isn't an apology video or a recant or anything like that. I do truly regret many of my actions and many of the events that transpired over the past few years. However, I go into a lot more detail about that in my top 10 worst videos list. The point of an apology video is to ask for forgiveness, and I'm not really asking for forgiveness. As the old saying goes, don't be sorry, be better. I understand that some hurts go too deep and some wounds are still too fresh. This video is more about the future than the past. It's a way of putting the last few years into words in an attempt to move on to, hopefully, a better future. I'm only now coming to terms about how truly broken that I was in the past couple of years. The pandemic was the worst time in a lot of people's lives. It was certainly the worst part of my own life. A life that had no shortage of hardships, from bullying at school to abusive parenting and insomnia incidents that felt like it was going to kill me. The summer of 2020, I was the most depressed that I had ever been in my entire life. Over the first half of that year, every time that the pandemic was mentioned, I just wanted to jump off a bridge. Considering that it was 2020, the pandemic was mentioned quite a lot. Sometimes, literally, the only thing that kept me going was a promise that I made to myself years and years ago that I would never consider an early end. It felt like life itself was strangling me. There didn't seem to be much positive in the world. Beyond the actual events, so many other problems were just stacked on top of it. People viciously attacked any positive news online as not taking things seriously, and a lot of people were genuinely arguing that this was the way that it had to be forever. There would be a whole new normal and the past was over. One by one, escapes became limited. Television and music and movies gradually became about reminders of what was going on, and online content creators followed in one way or another. Any hope that I tried to give myself backfired horribly. Yeah, this will really be over in 2 weeks, maybe a month. Alright, but it'll be over by the 4th of July. It is symbolic after all. Maybe the year mark. Maybe the 2-year mark. This is life now, isn't it? At some point, I just snapped. I snapped a lot. At a lot of people. Regardless of what I believed or what I thought or this or that, that's never something that I should have done, and I can't apologize enough for that. A lot of anger was being hurled at me, and I channeled it towards everyone else. Even in my worst times, I should be better than that. Not as a content creator or as a YouTuber, but as a goddamn person. I say a lot of this in my worst videos list, but if there's one thing there that bears repeating, I have, and will always stand by the belief that whatever my actions are, it is not my mental illness. It is me. My mental illnesses are my responsibility. The only one in control of my life is me. I want to say that I am better than that, but I'll leave time to prove it. Me saying this or that means nothing. My actions are what I am. They are all that I am. And this belief is very important for me to tell myself, because during the summer of 2020, I got a brand new friend. Did I say friend? No, I meant the worst fucking thing ever. Obsessive compulsive disorder. A lot of people actually have misconceptions on what OCD is or what it actually entails, so let me describe it the best I can. Fucked up shit goes through your mind all the time, like the most heinous shit you can imagine, and your brain is at war with itself. Specifically, I have contamination-themed OCD, which is ironic maybe. It goes something like this. If you don't wash your hands enough to go through a bar of soap a day, your mind will make you feel horribly diseased. And here's the thing. The more that you wash your hands like this, the worse those feelings get. Your brain starts playing the you missed a spot game with your hands. So you wash your hands to get that missed spot. But for some reason, the more you wash, the dirtier you feel. Then it gets really fun when your brain starts gaslighting you, making you think that you may have touched, say, the garbage can before you touched your face, when in reality it happened the other way around. As you keep falling into these behaviors, other fucked up shit starts popping into your mind. Suddenly, one day you start thinking of the violent deaths of everyone around you and everyone you care about for no apparent cause. You desperately wonder why you're thinking this way. And your brain starts to ask, maybe it's a desire. I would not wish this hell upon anyone. I've always had obsessive-compulsive tendencies in the past. Back when I was uploading videos on a schedule, there would be a great deal of anxiety for me not being able to meet it. but the trauma of the pandemic unlocked its full potential within me. There's other more minor stuff too. Like stereotypical OCD, I tend to organize shit a lot, until my brain tells me that I did it wrong and I dump everything out like a jigsaw puzzle. The more you listen to this, the worse that it gets. Bad things happen when you submit to your mental illnesses. And bad things happened when I submitted to my worst instincts. I got into long-winded arguments with people that I cared about and total strangers alike. At some point, there was just an apathy. I didn't care about anything. And in the worst of it, there was an antipathy, a burning hatred for everything. It was scary, both inside and outside. I lashed out at people. I got into long-winded arguments with both people I cared about and total strangers alike. It's disgusting behavior, and I legitimately do not like the person that I was. This angry person that I was is not something that I want to be. These days, I look back to a lot of the videos made during the pandemic, and not just my own. There's just so much anger, vitriol, and yelling at the other. It can feel like a very striking mirror at times, a reminder. This is something that hit close to my heart, something I despised, and as a result, I tried to fight fire with fire. And in the end, I think I made the world a worse place. I want to say this very clearly. My place in the world is that of an entertainer. I can do very thoughtful things and very meaningful things. I can help people appreciate heavier subject matter, make people think deeper about this or that topic, or just show them something beautiful. However, if and when I abandon entertainment, I've lost something incredibly personal and incredibly important. In the worst of times, my temper got hair trigger. Even a mere mention of, you gotta do this, or you can't do that, or a wayward joke towards current events set me off. Perhaps not outwardly, but deep inside. I let it affect me far more than I should. As pretentious as this statement may sound, as an entertainer, I find it a duty to give people a little bit of reprieve from those exact same feelings. Instead of doing that, I reflected what I found as toxic back into the world at large. If nothing else, it was hypocrisy. And considering what I stated about moral hypocrites, I can't feel enough shame about this. A lot of contention over everything was about my opinions on this or that subject, masks, lockdowns, prevention methods, and I definitely understand that. Regardless of my opinions on any of this, I am YouTube man who talks about cartoons and stories. I yell at a yellow rectangle for a living. My opinions on the matter, no matter what I say or think, or how they're sourced or where I got them, mean nothing. I'm stating that now. My opinions on this mean nothing. The one opinion that I have that matters is to be an adult. Make your own decisions and accept whatever consequences may follow from those decisions. I've privated all the videos that I've made on the subject. I don't exactly consider that a retraction, and I don't expect anyone else to either. I understand that anything I say now is probably going to ring a little bit hollow now that we're not in 2020. If you're morbidly curious as to the actual things that I said, all the videos have been archived if you know where to look. I'm not going to point you in their direction because I'd like to leave this in the past. Regardless of your opinions on the specific subject matters, regardless of my own opinions, the videos are all grossly unpleasant to watch. They're made from the same vitriol that broke me. I'm being an adult. I've made my own decisions, and I accept whatever consequences follow from those decisions. I know to many I've been cast out of grace, and I had a reputation and a respect that I may never get back. I may have lost the benefit of the doubt for the rest of my internet career, no matter how long or short that might be. I'm definitely not going to be bitter or angry at the people who have distanced themselves from me. I get it. I really, really do. I fucked up a lot, in so many ways over the past couple of years. Some small fuck-ups, some big fuck-ups. Some small fuck-ups that became big fuck-ups due to my actions. The only thing I really can do is be thankful for those who are still here, who still support me, and try to not fuck up tomorrow. Life is fleeting. If there's one thing that has been repeatedly drilled into my head and heart over the past couple of years, is that life is fleeting. And each day spent bitter or angry or in hatred is a wasted day. My mother got COVID in the spring of 2021. She wasn't in the best health to begin with. Her laundry list of medical issues is something that I'm not at liberty to talk about. When she had to go to the hospital, I thought about a lot of things. I thought about everything. She did make it in the end. She got better. Then she died 6 months later of a drug overdose, which is ironic, maybe. That's probably not something that I should have said publicly, but I did, and you can't take back the things that you've said. What's out there is out there, and it's out there now. The thing about this story is the last time that I saw her alive. I was actually visiting another relative, my great-grandmother, who everyone knew was not going to be lasting much longer. She was 91 years old, and her health had been dwindling for a while now. Since 2018, really. I knew that this would be the last time that I would ever see her, and even then she was only semi-lucid. Despite that though, she was really happy to see me. She was my godmother after all. And the entire time I was there, I tried to keep tears down. On the way back home, I couldn't do that anymore. But I didn't want my mother, who was with me on the way home, to see me tearing up crying. So I tried to hide that in my face from her. And that was the last time I saw my mother alive. That's a life-changing memory, for better or worse. It's still a surreal experience. It's the kind of thing that only happens in books. The whole ordeal convinced me to not get so hung up on bullshit. So what if she saw me crying? What's really important? In the time immediately after her death, it was really hard for me to keep down a lot of dangerous what-if questions, considering what happened. It helps that I actually went there to begin with. You see, I almost didn't go for that last visit, because I was too preoccupied with bullshit. I'm glad that I did in the end, because not going on that visit would have been something that I would have regretted for the rest of my life. The experience reordered what I find important. What each day truly means. As we went into 2022, I decided that that year was going to be about healing and reevaluation. It obviously had its pitfalls and dramas. It's also known as the first fuck-up that actually got me trending. Considering all of the stupid things that I've said and done, even in the past couple of years alone, never mind my entire career, it's still a mystery to me as of why that particular stupid thing went trending. Despite that one incident, I wanted to say that 2022 was a good year. It was the year I started to learn to let things go. In the moment of the incident, I definitely acted like a twat, and once again, I apologize for that. But I decided early on that I'm not going to let the Turning Red incident define me or even the year, even if the rest of the world decides it does. I survived a pandemic that tore my psyche apart, and my mother is dead. People shit-talking me on the internet literally don't matter. Going from talking about 2 back-to-back deaths in my family to my stupid take on a movie sounds like a bad segue because it is. But that's the segue that life took for me. Honestly, it's humorous. It's funny that someone at Forbes thought that that was worth their time to write about. Of course, I am human, and I have human emotions, so some things about the incident did affect me. You know, my own father insulted me over this. Not my stepfather, my actual birth father. The one who stepped out on my mother, who was a pregnant teenager. But even that's not what affected me. He, wrote some books that he told me to check out, and I did. And the contents of those books are how you freak me out. I look back at my career with a lot of regret, but not in the way that many would expect. I cared too much about bullshit. Back in the glory days of 2016, 2017, when I'd say that my content was at its best and I was making a really comfortable living, I had friends and prospects and a creative project that people were excited about. I kept worrying about being, well, where I am now. The idea that internet fame was fleeting, that everything I had would be gone, maybe because I said or did something stupid, kept sticking with me. My behind the review on BoJack Horseman video is fascinating to watch right now. I was so worried about losing the good things in my life that I could never really enjoy the good things in my life. Even back then, I always knew that something like the Turning Red incident would happen. Either that or it would be a slow burn and I'd fade into irrelevance. And you know what knowing that and predicting that did for me? Nothing! It didn't make the future any better and it made the past worse. So worried about tomorrow that you can't appreciate today until it becomes yesterday. Way too much of my life has been defined by bullshit already. I don't know what the future truly holds for me or this channel. What I do know is that I'm going to try and work as hard as I can to rebuild and to make amends. I want to move on to a better and brighter future. Leave a legacy and a memory that can truly be appreciated. Speaking of appreciation, I want to thank each and every one of you who have stuck around with me throughout all of my bullshit, all of my dark and dour moments, and every single misstep. I'm glad that there are people in the world as forgiving as you. And I especially want to thank those of you who have decided to give me a second, third, who knows how many chance. I don't know what I truly deserve in the end. All I know is that I've got a lot of work to do, and a lot of goodwill to get back. Despite my missteps and the misfortunes that have befallen me, doing this is an experience that I would not trade for the world. It sounds corny, but you guys do make it all worthwhile. I started this whole thing as someone so socially anxious, I couldn't speak to people or buy things at the store. I was someone who thought he had no prospects in anything. You've helped me make this a career, and something in my life that I can truly be proud of. And through every rough patch or hard time, you've seen me through. I hope to be doing this for many years in the future, and I hope that you stick along for the ride. I hope that you're all doing well out there. Thank you for your time.